who is an expert in this area. And I had the privilege of listening to her, and some of you did too when we had that Super Sunday training, Dr. Denise Tropea. She is going to talk about microcirculation. You're going to love this presentation. So let me, introduce Dr. Tropea in a proper way. Dr. Denise Tropea is a board certified foot surgeon. She's been in private practice for 25 years in Las Vegas. She graduated from the Scholl College of Podiatric Medicine and completed her residency in Salt Lake City. She has a special interest in diabetic foot care and amputation prevention. She's also been involved in various diabetic organizations in the Las Vegas area. Now, she devotes her time to raising awareness in the community on the topic of diabetes and its complications. I can tell you this because I've heard her. She is absolutely passionate about educating and informing people. And so, Dr. Denise Tropea, I'd like to turn it over to you now so you can share with everybody how that microcirculatory system works.
Excuse me, Duke, real quickly, and I forgot this. I apologize, Doctor. I want to remind everybody, or at least make everybody aware of the fact we're going to be doing a giveaway right after Dr. Tropea's presentation. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Okay, here we go. Yes, it is a pleasure to be here. I met quite a few of you 2 months ago and never thought I would be speaking again here, but then again, we never know what the future holds. And in this time that we have now, we're in the right place and we're right where we should be. And I enjoy listening to everyone from this organization, especially Tom and Danielle, with this just what's happening with this product and with the company, and how we are truly in a shift for alternative means of medicine. And that's where we are now. We're at that cusp of educating people, and knowledge is power. People need to know what else is there. So today I'm going to provide the groundwork for the science behind and what is microcirculation and how it is so important in knowing what this product does. So when we get started, first we want to know, what is the root of poor health? Well, there are a lot of different things that go on inside the body, such as fluid imbalances between blood and tissue, and that could lead to swelling, as we see in the lower leg. Weak immune system, susceptibility to diseases, such as the flu and certain autoimmune type diseases, such as gut issues. Malnourished cells, where we're not getting enough circulation and detoxification at our cells, and they are then either mutating or dying off prematurely. And then, of course, cellular debris, or just junk in the cell that has no way of cleaning itself out because you're not getting the proper nutrition to it. Poor thermal regulation, whereas we're not getting adequate circulation to our fingertips and toe tips due to certain disease states or not enough blood flow. Cellular oxygen exchange resulting in a buildup of toxins and carbon dioxide, and there's not enough of a detoxification mechanism for that. And then when we have too much damage to our cells because of an overload of toxins, and these toxins are known as free radicals, once again, the cells can mutate and thus cause some disease. So manifestation of these issues that people may not realize the state of poor health that I discussed in the last slides. Because we really don't know what's going on a cellular level in our body. Yes, it's things that we can see visually, Or we have blood work done, so there's certain markers, there's certain numbers, guidelines we can go by. But the results of these disease states have common terms such as diabetes and its complications such as blindness, kidney disease, also tissue death, gangrene, and it also can happen oh so quickly. There are many times that I've seen in my practice, being a lower leg specialist, that people come in and say, my toe turned black, or it's turning black, what's going on? That's because the microcirculation, the small vessels, have been so damaged that there's no longer being able to nourish the tissues. And then brain diseases such as Alzheimer's, dementia, at the microcircular level is causing then problems with cognitive function and quality of life. Kidney failure, also kidney disease. That's another small vessel disease because of the small vessels in the kidneys that are being damaged. And over long periods of time, that diminishes kidney function. And sure enough, people may be subjected to going on dialysis. And it has been known now for many years that people that have uncontrolled high blood pressure can also have kidney disease that can lead to failure. So when we talk about microvascular, we can break up that word into two. Micro meaning very, very small, microscopic vessels. The conduits are the vessels, so it's microscopic vessels is microvascular. And the microcirculation is the circulation of these smallest of blood vessels. They consist of arterioles, capillaries, venules. They carry oxygen to the blood in the capillaries. That's the job of the arterioles. And then the blood flows out of the venules into veins and then back to the heart, the lungs to get oxygenated, and then back out to the heart again. A red blood cell takes approximately, 20 seconds to go through the whole circulatory system of our body. So how does it work? Well, the vessels of the microcirculation are lined by, we say, endothelium, like say the inside of a hose. They're flat cells that regulate the movement of water and materials between the blood and the tissues. Then you have something known as pericytes that are made up of smooth muscle, and they're surrounded by the endothelial cells, so you get that pump type mechanism. And then when vessels then will lose the pericytes, so they do not have that pump anymore working properly, they become then hyperdilated, which means they become enlarged, and hemorrhagic, so they just explode. And it leads to conditions such as swelling, and retinal damage to the eyes is probably the most common thing that we do see, especially with diabetic patients, in which they get retinopathy and can lead to blindness. So with the miracle of microcirculation, what's needed is proper blood flow regulation in order to deliver the oxygen and the nutrients, and then remove the carbon dioxide and the toxins and bring it back so it can become detoxified, reoxygenated, and do the whole system over and over again. So how does the immune system work? Well, I like this schematic because it really shows the intricate relationship between the blue, which is the venous system, the red, which is the arterial system, and then the yellow on the outside, which is the lymphatic system. So the lymphatics are closely related to our circulatory system and considered a part of it. It collects fluids and proteins that have escaped from the cells and returns it back to the blood. It also is responsible for cleaning out those cells, and it maintains a balance of fluid between blood and tissue. When that balance of fluid has been interrupted, that's when we will see things such as lower leg swelling. And the more lower leg swelling that we have, the lymphatics are not working properly, then that leads to stagnant blood, and eventually people can get wounds and sores there, and also infections. And that's why we see so many manifestations in the lower leg from the knee down. And the lymphatics also play a key part with our immune system and helps us to avoid infections, which is so important in our barometer of good health. So capillaries are very important with microcirculation because they're the fine branches of the blood vessels between the arterioles and the venules. Comprises 75% of the whole circulatory system. When we first think of the circulation, what we think of is pipelines. We think of the heart, and then you have the aorta behind that, and then the femoral arteries, the carotid arteries, going to the head, the lower extremity. But it is the capillaries that are doing all the work in helping to keep the body in balance. We approximately have 100,000 miles of capillaries that supply blood to the tissues, and they carry food and oxygen to the cells to keep them in their most optimal health. And then it forms that next network of exchange, as I talked about before, of oxygen, carbon dioxide, metabolic waste products, which need to be removed from the cells and detoxified. And here's a good schematic of what an anastomosis is between an arterial and a venule. And there is that little shunt, that critical shunt. And that shunt is under the influence of our fight or flight mechanism, which is known as the sympathetic nervous system. So when we have stress and anxiety, that sympathetic nervous system increases the amount of epinephrine in our body and clamps down. So that's why it's going to clamp down to our extremities, leave the main circulation in our core. And so we're really not getting our increase in circulation to these areas that need it the most, that have the smallest vessels. And so when we are less under the influence of the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system comes into play. And that is the complete opposite. That's when the cells will, the vessels will dilate more, they will enlarge. Also, thus, the blood pressure will release. There'll be more increase in blood flow. So all this is very important in getting the body back into balance, getting the body healthier, strengthening our immune system. And then also what's very important is what we see in the hand and in the foot with the artery to artery connection that acts as a portal for our thermoregulation. And here is a picture of that. So a superficial arterial venous anastomosis is the direct connection between small arteries and veins, and it plays a role in thermoregulation, keeping our core temperature at a constant. And it's found in abundance in the nail bed of the fingers and the palms and soles of the feet. And so actually this is where it is so important with the Avicen, as we put our hand in there and we have this portal here where we can actually heat the blood, and then it is able to do its job throughout the body. When we talk about microvascular disease and oxidative stress, we see that whenever we have damage to our cells, either they mutate or they die off prematurely, this all leads to disease. And diabetes is a highly oxidative, stressful disease in which it starts to damage those small vessels. And as I said before, that's why people will go blind, have kidney damage, which leads to dialysis, and undergo foot and lower leg amputations. Because optimal circulation is needed for over 500 trillion cells in our body. So that's a lot of cells to take care of, and every one of them is important. And our body does need a steady supply of antioxidants to combat toxins. Antioxidants that we find in our fruits and vegetables, different herbs, also different supplements that we can take. These are all very, very important in helping to keep our cells as healthy as possible. And also the circulation to get there, to get those supplements there, is also very, very important. So how can we increase microcirculation? Well, we're all here to turn about how we turn up the heat. When you turn up the heat, the vessels dilate. More oxygen is delivered to the tissues. The viscosity or the thickness of the blood becomes thinner and flow is improved. And I have to say, I like Duke's analogy that I heard with the honey. If you put honey in the refrigerator versus honey on your in room temperature, you see that honey in the refrigerator takes a lot longer to come out of the bottle versus on the one that's in room temperature is a lot easier to get out of the bottle. And then inflammation is reduced due to a more effective detoxification. And when we have vessels dilate, we have something known as nitric oxide, which is released on the inner layer of the cells. And Dr. Hayes later on is going to be speaking about the importance of nitric oxide and how it is so important for our cardiovascular health. And just think about when we do have an increase in vasodilation, we're getting an increased transport of oxygen. We're getting the red blood cells to become more flexible and go right through where they need to go. Those very, very small capillaries, those red blood cells are flexing and they're able to move right through there and get where they need to go. And all the enzymatic and hormonal processes are then optimized in such a way because the platform has been set with the increasing of the core temperature. So when we want to attain our optimal health, and optimal health can be different for everyone. Everyone has different needs. Everyone is at a different point in their lives. But still, our quality of life is just so important. And it really does start from the inside out. And then using this technology really can assist our bodies in helping ourselves become a healthy self by healing thyself. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tropea. I really appreciate that, and I know everyone else did too. I love that presentation because it really takes this whole subject of microcirculation